you could feel the shift happening. And thank God we had gotten together like a year before and started doing our research and started setting down like how we wanted this to work, because all of a sudden the need was huge. It was out there.
And I guess similar to what you said at the top of your story, like I have a bit of surprise in that the need was always there, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it unfortunately, fortunately, it took these huge moments in our culture, in our society, these major shifts for our industry to realize the value. But there's been intimacy in film and on stage for as long as they've existed.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, that's, I don't harp on the stories anymore, because at first we really needed the stories of how awfully things happened to sort of get people to come on board and realize this is a safety need. But, you know, I think it also doesn't do us service to forget them or ignore them, that people got, you know, and yes, sometimes things went fine and sometimes things went really, really rough, and people left the industry for it. People were traumatized for it. You know, people were assaulted for it. And the tough thing, you know, and I try not to harp on that now, because it also doesn't, if anything, sometimes it makes people retreat further back from it, because they're like, well, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. And it's like, there are things that we did not know at the time and we know now. We can't go back and force our former selves to know. I did things. I mean, I did moves, 10, 20 years ago that I look back now and I'm like, oh, that was not consent forward at all.
And listen, I mean, like you said, you don't like to harp on the stories. Look, we're all a product of our time.
Yeah.
We all are. The most progressive of us are. In 50 years, when we're all boomers and our grandkids or whatever are looking at us like, oh my God, you guys used to do what?
Yeah.
You know, we thought we were so forward thinking, 2023, So listen, we're all a product of our time. And you're right. It's sometimes, I mean, I'm a personal believer that everything in the world has balance. And sometimes you need to know those stories of what didn't go well in order to craft and to curate your process for how to make sure that they go well from here on out.
Yeah.
What do you say to an actor who says that intimacy choreography stifles their impulses? And you don't have to be nice to that actor.
Well, I would first, because I have gotten this before from actors, like, oh, no, I don't want to choreograph. I don't want to set it up. I want to go on impulse. I'm like, you know what? Cool. I'm down. I'm in. All that we need to do is set a container. And if we want to find the choreography organically, because we're going to have to repeat it eventually, regardless of it, it's like you can't go on an impulse to do something different every single time. We've got to shoot it at multiple angles.
Right.
So we're going to land on something. If you want to find that organically without us planning it out ahead of time, I'm here for it. But we got to set a container. So where are we not going? What's the playing space? Because you can play inside of a playing space. Anyone can do that. Like, and I literally had this argument. It's not an argument, but I had this interaction with a professor at a university that I went to go and do some of this work to. And they said, I said, we set our boundaries. And she said, in my class, there are no boundaries. I was like, no boundaries. And she was like, there are no boundaries. That stifles creativity. There are no boundaries. And I said, okay, let me ask you a question. Is it okay if one of your students punches the other student in the face and breaks their nose? Is that okay? She was like, and she, waited for a second and went, no. And I said, so there are boundaries. That's okay. That's okay. We have such magical thinking when it comes to acting. We can really get carried away with it. Of just anything can happen. It's like, no, not anything can happen.
Right.
That's okay. That's normalized. We just tend to not speak of it that way. So when someone says it stifles my creativity, I'm like, listen, you get to have your process. We can make this work within your process.
Right. And it's, man, I get brought back to the stage combat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all understand that you can't just improvise a sword fight.
Right.
Like what you know what I'm saying? Like actors know we cannot show up on set or to rehearsal and a sword is placed in our hand and we go, yeah, don't worry, director, I got this.
Yeah.
They would look at us like we were crazy. But yet we assume that we can touch another person's body just based on how we're feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, I mean, something as simple as nobody would say that it would just be fine to just smack some, or I don't know, maybe some people, I know some actors who wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'll take that one back. We'll say the punch in the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all understand you cannot just throw a haymaker at another actor on stage. So what makes you think that you could grope them or kiss them or, you know, other things that we know actors have done on set, right? That we don't have to say out loud.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I'm open to a world where it's like, listen, and I've worked on these sets where they're like, anything is in play. I am totally cool with, and I'm like, cool. So I'm just going to name some things and let me know how you feel with this. Touching of breasts. Okay. Touching of buttocks. Okay. You know, like the very furthest that I will go is be like, if anyone wants to touch someone else's genitals, we will have padding there. Why? Because it is against our union rules to have a sexual act happen on set. We're not doing that. As it should be. That's it. We're not shooting actual sexual acts. It's not pornography. Nothing wrong with porn. Nothing wrong with ethical pornography, but we're not doing that here. And that's an agreement that all of us are making.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I really, when I hear people say in interviews like, oh, it stifles my creativity, I could never do intimacy coordination or work with an intimacy coordinator. I'm like, I more so want to zero in and just ask more questions about it because I guarantee they haven't actually had the experience of it.
And so kind of along this trend of the actor's experience working with you all, what rights do actors have when working on intimacy choreography? And, you know, in terms of, does director have ultimate final say? What if an actor's uncomfortable with something that has been written in the script that they've been asked to do?
Yeah, so great question. So it begins in casting. Consent begins in casting. You know, if you are auditioning for something, there should be, and this is what I try to do on my side with HBO of like, what's in the casting, what's in the, you know, even if we're casting background performers or day players to come in and do something that requires anything from kissing to simulated sex nudity, it's got to be explicitly stated in the casting. And then if you are not down with that, you don't audition for it. You don't go out for it. You know, it's like, that's it. And the thing I try to put this out there, especially at universities that I go at, acting schools and such, that there will always be another show. There will be another show. That's not the show for you. That's not the part for you. It's cool. There will be another one. I promise. Because I guarantee they don't want to cast someone who's not okay with doing that thing. That's why they're putting it in there. Right. So no reason to go out for it. You've got other stuff. And then say you agree to something and you get cast. The actor's rights, it really comes down to if it's a union or a non-union show. If it's a union show, you know, you have a right to withdraw your consent at any time. Even after you sign a nudity or simulated sex waiver, you can withdraw your consent. Now, that doesn't stop you from being recast, but you're not going to be forced on to set and say, no, you signed a contract, get in there. So that is a huge thing that also you can't have repercussions from. You know, it's you have a right to say no at any point. And that is something that I often say as an intimacy coordinator of like, just so you know, if you want to stop, if you change your mind, just let us know. It's like, and I I get producers sometimes that are like, I don't know if you should say that to people. And I'm like, here's the thing. Sometimes you're doing exteriors and it's going to rain. What do? You pivot. You either shoot in the rain and you figure out a way around it, or you shoot another day. And it's the same thing with someone's consent. That's how it goes. So you have a right to say no. I would say during the casting process, I tell actors, be inquisitive, be curious, ask the questions. Ask, how's this going to go? Do we have an intimacy coordinator? Ask what is being asked of you, from the specifics of nudity to the specifics of how they're going to shoot the scene. I think the more curious that you can be and the more you put out there, if you got an agent, talk through your agent. But if not, if you're even doing background work, talk to that background casting director and be like, hey, I just want to know what exactly is being asked of me so that I can bring my full self to it.
Hey guys, thank you for checking out The Actor's Instrument on YouTube. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. You can follow us at Actors Instrument Podcast on all social media platforms. Till next time, y'all. Peace.